Tonya Hurley, a famous writer, had once said, "There are many ways to be haunted, not all of them supernatural." And so, once upon a time, Club Macau was not a hotel that made for the usual touristic retreat. It was acquired taste. Resplendent in its Portuguese charm, the hotel preferred to keep the old world alive in the new world. The elevators still worked in their old shaft with the collapsible grill doors, adding to the antiquity. The carpets a deep maroon, the chandeliers polished and hanging heavy. The leather, old and a shade of fading brown, the walls ornamented with quite ornate work, and the dining experience as fine as it came. Peter Wu had worked himself to boot in the financial hub of Hong Kong. He'd been through a bad 3 years, a divorce, a court battle in which he lost the custody of his child, and a death-defying fight with alcohol. He had now saved enough money to spoil himself, and the Club Macau it was going to be. Are you sure you want to go to the Club Macau? It has a malicious reputation. You know that, don't you? Wendy shot him a worried glance as they sat together on the Kowloon ferry. Wendy had been his only friend since his bad run of fate had done him in. You don't mean the suicides, Peter laughed, trying to knock her concern out of the way. They've had almost 2 suicides every month. Something is terribly wrong with that place. Wendy was clearly a believer in what Peter thought was nonsense. I'm not going to die, not after fighting my way through rehab. Macau was everything that Peter expected. Great shows and casinos, fabulous shopping, and Club Macau was far from fiendish. If anything, it was all panache and class. It was late at night when Peter got back to the hotel from a late-night dinner. The lights seemed much dimmer than when he had left the hotel. It could be the 2 glasses of wine, Peter reminded himself. Room 432 was halfway down the hallway, but strangely, here he was, not even 10 steps into the corridor. This had to be wrong. There couldn't be 2 rooms with the same number. He couldn't be that drunk. He took a few steps to find that all the other rooms had the same room number. They were all room 432. This was bizarre. He decided to open any one room if they were all supposed to be his rooms. And this did seem like his room. His bags and clothes lay as he had left them in the darkness. Before he turned the light on, he was sure he could hear the sound of a child. Now, with the lights on, he found his son sitting on his bed looking at him with tears in his eyes. How had this happened? Perhaps his wife had figured he was off on a holiday and decided to spoil it for him out of some kind of vengeance. "Is your mother here, Bruce?" Peter asked his 6-year-old. "No, she's not here. It's only you and I. She does not matter in this." Bruce sounded much older strangely. "Does not matter in this? In what?" Peter walked across and sat next to his son. "And why are you crying? What has happened? Why did you have to have that affair?" "I don't mean with Wendy. I'm talking about Jennifer, the slut you work with." Bruce spoke with a scary, even tone that seemed completely unlike a child. Why was he referring to his mother as Wendy? This was not Bruce. Something was eerily wrong. Peter stepped out of the room to find that all the other rooms still had the same room number on them, room 432. "This is a maze of your own making, my dear," said a calm elderly voice. Peter turned around to find a housekeeping lady standing behind a trolley. "What the hell is going on here? How do all these rooms have the same number? Which one is my room?" The lady smiled a beatific smile. "They're all your rooms. All these rooms are filled with people from your life, the good and the bad. This won't change until you find the room that has no one in it. That is your room, the one you hired at the hotel. Your room where you are alone, but you will have to find that room yourself. It could be any amongst the 50 rooms on this floor." "Who's playing this game with me? I want it to stop now," Peter screamed. "It's a game, but a simple one. Either your memories will survive you, or you will survive your memories." Peter bolted to the archaic elevator and rang the elevator button like a man possessed. There was no sign of any elevator. To his horror, he could not even see an elevator in the shaft. He pushed the nearest door open and found Wendy in the room. She stood by the window, looking worried. "I told you coming to this hotel was a bad idea, Peter. But you thought me a village idiot who believed in mumbo-jumbo. Now what are we going to do?" "I have no idea. How did Bruce get here? How did you get here? Is this all happening for real?" Peter collapsed on a chair by the dresser, gasping for breath, exhausted with all the stairwell jumping. "I'm here to ask you a question." The look in Wendy's eyes changed from concern to sadness. "What question?" Peter asked. "Have you never seen the love in my eyes for you? Have you been blind? Are you the self-centered, unfeeling person the world claims you are?" Peter could not believe his ears. Wendy had been in love with him all these years? And he did not even know? How could that be? This was not Wendy. This was just another trap. He stood up and began to make for the door. Wendy only looked on sadly. In one room he saw his high school teacher, who he had sent love letters to secretly. She knew it was him all along, she said. His mother in one room. She was not happy that he left China for Hong Kong. His father was not happy that he could not keep a family. He was a drunk, an embarrassment. But he was not ready for Michael. He saw Michael lying on the hotel bed, but strangely, it looked more like a hospital bed. Michael had these hospital tubes and wires sprouting from him. He looked Peter firmly in the eye and whispered in a gruff voice, "One day, I will wake up, Peter. I'm not going to be in a coma forever. I'm going to wake up and tell everyone what you did to me. I'm going to tell Mom and Dad that I did not fall and that you pushed me. You pushed me on the glass table and I severed my spine. You are a monster. The worst kind of older brother a man can have. It was an accident, Michael. We were just kids. I was only 10, you were 8. I was scared, very scared of what Mom and Dad would do to me." Peter began sobbing at the sight of his younger brother in all those tubes. But what started making Peter breathless was the secret that he had kept all his life. A panic began to grip his heart, and it felt like someone was taking all the breathable air away from him. He started to hyperventilate. Peter felt his lungs were going to burst. The rhythm of his heart had become an unbearable thumping, and his vision began to blur. The window, he had to open the window somehow. He needed to breathe. Then Peter got to his feet and without a second thought, crashed through the window and its glass. Late-night revelers on the streets of Macau would tell the police later that they saw the man jump from the 4th floor and crash on the pavement. One of them even went on to say that they heard the man say, "Forgive me, Michael." Wendy read the news in the morning paper. It was a curse to live for thousands of years and make people see their real selves in torturous ways, like the Club Macau Hotel. But then that was the pain of being the angel of death. It was a job, and she had to do it.